kid. Look at that.
See how we get the audience going?
Was he lifting?
Yes, he was lifting at a young age, light weights.
How old is he here?
6.
Bring it in, Boston.
So when he got older, you know, when you're on stage, it's a big high. People are clapping, and you get a lot of people coming to you, giving you endorsements.
Boston Lloyd grew up in a world of gyms and steroids. By his late teens, he was competing in bodybuilding.
Go in the mirror, make sure you're about an inch down, and go right in, guys. Don't be like, oh, you know, like going all slow. Just pound it in.
And he became one of the first people to share his experience using performance-enhancing drugs on social media.
So when the internet came on, Boston became famous because of it. So it's not hush-hush. You can go anywhere on the internet and find out what drugs do, what they're for, where to inject, how to inject them.
That's pharma-grade growth hormone.
Boston helped start a trend that has spread as social media has grown.
Name a bigger doctor.
And now, a new generation of influencers are promoting illegal bodybuilding drugs classified as research chemicals. Some of these drugs have been linked to organ damage, heart failure, and in some cases, death.
I've seen over 10,000 patients in 20 years. The age continues to go down, and the numbers and the incidents continue to go up.
In this episode of Fault Lines, we look into the world of illegal bodybuilding drugs targeting young men on social media.
The floodgates have opened, and now men are just being bombarded with images of perfect bodies. There really isn't a precedent for men having an algorithm target them with these images.
It's like the gladiators, you know, because you want to be the perfect body there is. To me, since I know the science behind all this stuff, it doesn't worry me that much because I'm young and I'm willing to take the risk.
So he was like born into a gym.
Exactly. We had the daycare there. We had the nannies there, and he played with the other kids there.
That's it. Now do the muscle one. Around the monkey one.
I can't do that.
This one.
When Boston Lloyd was growing up in the 1990s, his parents, Marie and John, helped run 3 Gold's gyms in California. He soon followed in their footsteps and became a bodybuilder.
When did Boston first tell you he wanted to compete?
So his first contest, I think he was 17, and he won, but he did it naturally. Then from there, he wanted more because he was competing against other kids that were doing it also. So that's the part in bodybuilding. You know you're genetically better, but that person next to you is using and you're not, and you just lost.
After winning a big contest in 2013, Boston uploaded a video detailing every drug he used to prepare for the show. He was 21 at the time.
Like, a lot of people are going to look at this video and they're going to frown upon me. Like, damn, he took that much. And you're going to laugh because, yeah, I did take a lot of my age, but I actually know what I'm doing.
It was one of the first times a bodybuilder went on social media to share the type and dosage of the drugs that they were taking.
Boston definitely opened up the gate to talk openly online about steroids.
He met his partner, Ariella, a fellow bodybuilder, shortly after.
When we were long distance, we used to send videos to one another.
Off to the gym, baby! I chilled all day today with my friends. Here's my friend Paul. What's it? Peace out, baby.
He wanted a more like streamlined physique, like kind of like the old school streamline back in the day. And that's bodybuilding though. You're being judged solely based on how you look, not on how healthy you are. It's only how you look.
Boston's popularity grew the more he shared about his use of bodybuilding drugs.
What's the craziest cycle you've ever done?
Probably the craziest cycle anyone's done. I've done 12 cc's a day for about 8. I did over 12 grams of gear for the last 3 weeks before I messed my nerve up in my arm. I just like to experiment, man.
Nobody talked about steroids back then. Nobody had his internet persona. He was very blunt, very open, very honest. So that sells itself, and he took a lot of pride in that.
And the last one, guys,
Anabolic or muscle-building steroids have long been used by athletes and bodybuilders. As their risks became known, the U.S. banned their use without a prescription in 1990. But new drugs were developed and they were also abused. In 2014, Congress passed a law banning 25 additional steroids. Boston and other influencers began promoting drugs that are still in the experimental phase of development. They're called research chemicals.
The mindset of the fitness enthusiast is, for many people, I want the best thing for fat burning, I want the best thing for muscle building, and if those are banned, well, then what is the next best thing? And that's why the industry keeps on evolving.
These chemicals are produced for medical research, but they haven't been approved for human use because they haven't been tested or they can have dangerous side effects.
When you buy these, you're on their site and you have to acknowledge it's not for human consumption. And then when it comes on the box, it says when you open it, there's a big, not for human consumption. Meanwhile, you're mixing it up and injecting it into your body.
One of the most popular types of research chemicals for bodybuilders are called selective androgen receptor modulators, or SARMs. Others are chains of amino acids called peptides.
I think that SARMs and peptides have become very popular, in many ways more popular than steroids, is because I think that the general, I believe, misconception is that steroids are really bad, whereas SARMs and peptides are safe.
PJ Braun made a small fortune selling supplements to bodybuilders, some of which included research chemicals.
So my first year was just me, I did 200,000 in sales. Year 2, I did 1.2 million. And year 3, we did 9.8 million. And that's when people really started talking about us. And I really believe that it was all due to how we capitalized on social media.
Have you tried SARMs, Boston?
Of course, yeah. I'm on
You
one
have?
now.
Boston had deals with companies to promote some of the research chemicals and supplements he was using.
He was with a company called Transformix Peptides. We still have shirts from them. On the back it says research purposes only, you know?
What do you think is the most profitable thing that you've done in as far as business go?
The Transformix by far is the #1 moneymaker for me right now.
A lot of these companies would just send peptides to Boston, all different companies, or sources that maybe had the SARMs as well and other things that Boston was taking.
I'm just gonna come in here and get my fridge. I'll pull up the stuff I'm using.
The SARMs and the peptides are used widely by just about anyone, but unfortunately, a lot of the young guys think that they're doing themselves a service or they're better off. Hey, not ready for steroids. That's wrong. Actually, some of the SARMs, myself and a lot of the other research academics in this world feel that they're worse. But we don't have any support for that in any clinical trials because no one is doing clinical trials.
Dr. Thomas O'Connor specializes in treating conditions related to the abuse of performance-enhancing drugs.
The top 5 SARMs were intended for medical use, yet they never made it to the end of the trials for human utility in medicine. So they're sitting in that quagmire.
Why? Because the side effects?
I think because there were some significant hypertension, cardiac concerns. One in animal studies, cancer.
He's watched research chemicals explode in popularity over the years. And he spoke to Boston about his use of these drugs in a radio interview in 2015.
But you want to die? Your parents, if your parents are listening, you don't care if you die?
First of all, do I think I'm going to die tomorrow? No.
I basically, I was like, you're a young kid, you don't know you're a hole in the ground, you're going to kill yourself, you're going to die.
It just seems wildly dangerous to me.
Oh, it is very dangerous. It's a Wild West.
Despite warnings from his friends and family, Boston continued to experiment. He started injecting a peptide called adipotide.
There's no human studies done on it. It's been researched on monkey and mice. But basically, it's a peptide that not just shrinks fat cells, but kills fat cells. And I'm guessing it, and I was shooting it around my kidney fat area, like low back area where my kidneys are. I was shooting it in my chest, and I was using a bottle a day, which was 5 milligrams, because there's no dosing protocols on this stuff.
He would have a good appetite and then a bad appetite and then throw up, and he felt sick. And I thought, did you eat something bad? Maybe you're not digesting foods properly.
Boston went to the doctor to see what was wrong and found out his kidneys were failing.
In the case of Mr. Lloyd, it appears to have suffered irreversible renal injury.
At the end of the day, what this is saying is Boston killed his kidneys with
Adipotide.
a peptide,
Yep, a peptide.
a research chemical.
It might have been a message from the man upstairs saying, hey, I'm going to give you this warning sign now because if you keep going, you'll have a heart attack or something like that.
Or worse.
Was he a candidate for a transplant?
Yeah, so he was currently going through all of the testings to see if you're a candidate. The only thing is when he was doing these testings, they didn't see that he had something wrong with his heart.
On the morning of February 25th, 2022, Boston's heart gave out while working out at a gym down the street from his home. He was 29 and left behind a 3-year-old son.
So I got down there as fast as I could, and he was dead. And the part is, he looked like a superhero. So when you're seeing not somebody dying, a superhero on the table. I mean, I'll never forget that day.
And just a few days before, I had said, you can't die out of kidney disease from nowhere, right? I said, that worries me so much. Nope, my heart is good, baby. There are clear signs where I would need to get on dialysis before that would ever happen. This was 3 days before he passed. It can be so scary. It's just not knowing what can happen inside your body. And just because you feel healthy doesn't mean you're always healthy.
So I want to share with you, this is the autopsy for Boston.
Okay.
Take a look at that and
Something
just see if anything
never
jumps
saw,
out at
I
you.
didn't want to see it because it's just too painful to see. So this is from the years of steroids right here.
This is a body that's destroyed, not built up.
No, 100% destroyed from drugs. He had end-stage kidney disease. He should have been in dialysis.
And this is the fullest statin. I'm going to do 50 mcgs into each pec.
Boston's death reverberated throughout the fitness world. But it didn't stop young bodybuilders from using steroids and research chemicals, or posting about it online.
What's the role of social media in promoting these drugs?
Oh my Lord, we don't even know the numbers now, off the chart, because of social media.
A study by the Center for Countering Digital Hate in 2023 found TikToks showing bodybuilding drugs were seen over 500 million times in the US in 3 years. 420 million views were from 18 to 24-year-olds. Data for Instagram and YouTube is not available.
Every young person wants to be famous online or have clout online. And because of the algorithm, physical perfection is a way that you can gain followers.
Alex Hawgood spoke to dozens of teenage boys, some as young as 13, for a New York Times investigation into the negative effects of fitness content.
Growing up in this new environment, we are seeing new digital rites of passage for boyhood, for manhood, for young adulthood, for these men. And one of them is, do I take SARMs? When do I take SARMs? Out of 40 boys that I spoke to, all of them said that they were not only aware of research chemicals, but open to doing them.
We wanted to understand the next generation of fitness influencers speaking openly about their use of performance-enhancing drugs on social media.
You need your peptide. Second of all, you need your bacterial static water.
So we reached out to Arnold Shue, a 21-year-old bodybuilder from College Station, Texas, who calls himself the Trenperer, a play on the name of an anabolic steroid, Trenbolone. We met with him the night before a bodybuilding competition in Belton, Texas. He's here with his coach.
Eat this, sip this as you need, just so your mouth doesn't get dry. I'll be good. So you can eat it.
His personal videographer, and his mom, who traveled all the way from Shanghai to watch him compete.
Everybody that's at our show uses those photos all year for Instagram, and they constantly are putting those photos up.
Whatever happens, happens. For a reason, maybe. Oh yeah, the Trumper is coming.
How do you feel about your physique right now when you look at it?
You're never satisfied. I'm never satisfied. There's always
there's always room to be better.
You don't go to the mirror and look for satisfaction. You look for areas to improve, because you had these great athletes that paved the way for us, and then it's just evolved, and now with social media and everything, it's just become more popular and more mainstream now, where it's like, just because I can put the effort in and invest in myself, I can make a name for myself, I can make a brand, I can basically have my life however I want it based on just my physique.
I could get a good, say, doing this one to the reels, get some good angles.
There's now two incentives here. One is to do it to get a body that performs well, and then the other is a branding opportunity to sell these products to other young men. That's effectively what it's all about for them. It's how they make money.
What triggered you to think, this is something I want to do?
When I started doing social media, it was just for the fun. Posting stuff that I liked, things that I thought was funny, some of those things blew up. I was like, wow, this is great. And yo, if you keep on doing this, you can make it, you know, in some sort of fashion, right? And so that's what I kept on doing. Here is one of the peptides. It's called dihexa.
Arnold works with one of the most popular research chemical companies in the US, Research Chem. He receives a commission for every product sold using his promo code.
Wow. And is all this stuff meant for what you're taking it for? Is it all legal?
I have to say that, yeah, research purposes only, because it's on the label, so.
How many different types of those things do you think are part of your routine?
If we combine androgens and we combine peptides, I would be pushing 10.
Alrighty guys, so I just got my shipment from Research Chem. Obviously the box is already torn open, but I'm gonna show you guys what I got.
Research Chem is very popular on social media. Through simple searches on TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube, we found dozens of examples of videos featuring their products and instructing viewers on how to use them. The sale of these drugs for human consumption is illegal.
Do you experience negative side effects?
Everybody does. I do too.
Like what?
I would say anxiety sometimes, right? It could maybe spike your anxiety, mood swings here and there. Not major. For me, it's nothing major because I know what I'm doing.
Like he did with Boston, Dr. O'Connor warned Arnold about his use of experimental drugs.
Does Arnold really know what he's doing?
He's not as reckless as Boston Lloyd, I can tell you that. He's not. But he is looking for the attention, and he's getting it. He has over 200,000 followers on Instagram.
These are some drugs you can get on Research Chem's site. He's promoting them to his audience to use his promo code and go order these.
I don't agree with that. I disagree with that. I think it's bad.
Why?
It's unethical. He's selling drugs.
Not everything's deadly, but it's like this kind of combination of unregulated substances being put into these young bodies, also with these extreme strict diets. You know, it's almost like these guys are guinea pigs. It's not good for them, but we don't really know how bad because most doctors don't even know this is happening.
There's kind of a cavalier thing in your videos that I know these things are dangerous, and that appeals to young boys. And so when the brand is centered around something that's dangerous, I just wonder if you reconcile that you might be influencing people.
I don't worry, because if they want to do it, they're going to do it anyways.
Even if social media companies enforce their own rules around drug-related content, it wouldn't prevent the sale of these drugs. That job falls to the U.S. Food and Drug Administration, or the FDA.
We wanted to ask someone at the FDA why it's so easy to buy these kind of chemicals online in America, but after months of asking, they declined our request for an interview.
But we were able to talk to someone who was on the front lines of the agency's fight against the rise of research chemicals. Eric Flagg was a special investigator at the FDA for a decade. He tried to crack down on the sale of these drugs.
This isn't the dark web. This is Instagram, correct? I don't understand how something can be so evidently illegal and so in the open.
It's $1 million question. Is somebody at the FDA, or which is really the main regulatory body, are they willing to step up and actually do something about this? At a minimum, why are you not reaching out to the platform and saying, hey, look, what this kid's doing is illegal, what he's promoting is illegal, it's harmful to the American public, you need to shut this page down, you need to shut this site down.
The FDA told us in a statement that they carefully prioritized their limited resources to focus on the most severe cases involving research chemicals. But Eric says the lack of oversight on the sale of these drugs is not about resources.
So even if you had all the agents you wanted, without having a headquarters that supports doing something about this issue, would it make a difference?
No, It was like spitting in the wind. It doesn't matter. Because again, the structure of how it's done is nothing. No investigations are done without headquarters support and then without center support. And if they didn't support it, it just got nixed, and it never went any further from there.
Does the FDA's failure to regulate these chemicals pose a threat to the American public?
In my opinion, it does. It does pose a threat.
One of the few companies prosecuted by the FDA for selling research chemicals was Blackstone Labs. PJ served nearly 2 years in prison.
So they went after you to send a message. The message was, careful selling these kind of things, right? Back off on being too aggressive on selling this classification of drugs. Do you think that message was successful when you look at the industry today?
I don't think that what happened to us really changed anything in the bodybuilding fitness industry.
There's more of it out there now.
It's incredible, actually. In 2 years, I see so much peptide and SARM talk all over the place now.
The secrecy around the sale of these products makes the companies difficult to regulate. The owner of Research Chem goes to great lengths to conceal his identity.
But you know who he is. He's going to remain anonymous.
I actually don't. No, none of the people that are involved, me and my colleagues, have seen him, seen his face, or, know his real name. Yeah.
Why do you trust the drugs then?
Because they're third-party tested. And the reputation. I mean, not myself. I mean, countless of people have testimonials from this company, like that buy their products, right? The people that maybe do the same thing I do that are not affiliated with the company.
Another influencer for Research Chem we spoke to also claimed to not know the owner. In a rare case in which the FDA shut down a research chemical company, Eric received crucial information from a source Fault Lines is revealing for the first time.
On page 22, there's a source that's referred to there as BL on New York Times.
Yes.
Can you now identify who BL is?
That was Boston Lloyd.
Boston Lloyd.
Yes, sir.
He was with a company called Transformix Peptides. Boston confronted them about the quality of some of their products because he was getting complaints. The FDA actually came to the house, and Boston invited him in, and he kind of explained the whole situation to him.
Even though he was promoting the usage and sale of these products, I think he wanted to help us clean up the industry.
It's just like everything is a facade. You don't really know what you're getting from what you see. People post stuff online and they lie about the results of certain products just to get you to buy them.
Arnold placed second in open men's physique and fourth in open classic physique.
I'm pretty happy with the results because last time I placed third in open men's physique and did fifth in classic physique open. So now obviously we made improvements.
Before Arnold tried this, I never know how a man can look so beautiful.
Any concerns about his health?
Oh, yes. I can't think nothing to stop his dream. I only can do to support him and encourage him to chase his dream. So I'm happy for him. Yeah.
Any regrets in terms of exposing him to bodybuilding so young?
Oh yeah, any mother that loses their son at such a young age, there's going to be regrets. I do regret not talking to him more about the steroid world. And maybe because he was so powerful, I didn't come down on him more. I didn't know how.
Yeah, that was just 2 days before he passed. He would have never left us had he known, right? But that's the point, is you don't know. That's why these things are so dangerous. I think all those little things of him experimenting, would he have regretted that? I think he was who he was. Would he have regretted taking it that far to lose his life? 100%. He loved life.